Hi, everyone, and welcome to another deep dive. Today we're going to be looking at something I think you're really interested in.
Okay.
Which is how the sounds of nature impact our well-being.
Okay.
You've given us a pretty interesting mix of sources this time around.
Right.
We've got a YouTube video transcript.
Okay.
And then we've got some excerpts from TOEI study guides.
Interesting.
So
Yeah.
let's dive in and see what all of this tells us about nature sounds.
Yeah, it is fascinating to me how even materials that are designed for English language learning are incorporating nature sounds.
Right.
It really highlights how deeply these sounds are woven into our lives, even if we don't always realize it.
Exactly. Like the YouTube video starts out talking about all the typical ways that we try to unwind, you know, hot baths, movies, working out, listening to music. I'm sure you've tried at least one of those.
Of course, we all have our go-to methods for dealing with stress.
Absolutely. But then the video brings up this study from King's College in London, and things get really interesting.
Right.
They found that just seeing or hearing birds can significantly boost mental well-being.
Really?
And it's not just any bird song. They specifically found that the songs of robins and blackbirds had the most pronounced positive effect on mood.
Interesting. Why those birds specifically, do we know?
Well, the research pointed to the varied melodies and frequencies between 2 and 4 kilohertz.
Okay.
So there's something about that specific range that seems to really resonate with us.
That's fascinating. And what's intriguing here is that those frequencies may actually stimulate activity in the amygdala.
Oh, wow.
A part of the brain that's associated with emotional processing. So it's not just a subjective feeling of peace.
Right.
There could be a measurable neurological response happening.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
The video even touches on the possibility of using birdsong therapeutically.
Oh, wow.
Like as a complementary treatment for anxiety or depression.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely a growing body of research exploring that. In fact, some studies suggest that listening to birdsong for even short periods can reduce levels of cortisol, the stress hormone.
Oh, wow.
So it's like a natural antidote to our modern, often overwhelming soundscapes.
Yeah, I love that. And speaking of soundscapes, both the YouTube video and a couple of the TOEI excerpts mention a study by the National Trust that compared the relaxation benefits of listening to woodland sounds versus using a guided meditation app.
Oh, interesting.
So it was like nature versus technology
Yeah.
in a head-to-head relaxation challenge.
I love it. All right, so who won? Who came out on top?
I'm going to let you tell everybody.
Well, the results were actually pretty surprising. Woodland sounds, with their rich tapestry of birdsong rustling leaves and trickling water, actually boosted feelings of relaxation by 30% more than the guided meditation app.
Wow, I have to admit, I kind of saw that coming.
Really?
Nature for the win, but what exactly is it about woodland sounds that make them so effective?
Well, remember we talked about the amygdala. The researchers think that the complex layered sounds of a woodland environment engage multiple areas of the brain, creating a more immersive and calming experience.
So it's not just about blocking out other noises, it's about actively stimulating our brains with these natural calming sounds.
Exactly. And another key factor is the rhythmic patterns present in many woodland sounds.
Yeah.
These rhythms, like the gentle chirping of crickets or the steady flow of a stream, can tap into our parasympathetic nervous system, which is responsible for slowing down our heart rate, lowering blood pressure, and promoting a sense of calm.
Wait, can you quickly explain what the parasympathetic nervous system is for those who might not be familiar?
Sure, it's essentially the rest and digest part of our nervous system.
Okay.
As opposed to the sympathetic nervous system, which is responsible for that fight or flight response.
Right.
When the parasympathetic nervous system is activated, our bodies relax and shift into a more restorative state.
So woodland sounds are like a sonic shortcut to activating our body's natural relaxation response.
That's a great way to put it. And what's even more fascinating is that the benefits extend beyond relaxation.
Really?
Some studies suggest that listening to nature sounds can improve focus, boost creativity, and even enhance cognitive performance.
Wow, so it's not just about feeling good, it's about thinking better too.
Exactly.
That brings up something else I found interesting in these sources. The idea that you don't necessarily have to be physically immersed in nature to reap the benefits of these sounds.
You're referring to the research from California Polytechnic State University, right?
Exactly.
They found that even listening to recordings of nature sounds can have a positive impact on mood, and well-being.
Yeah, so for those of us who don't have a forest in our backyard,
Right.
we can still create our own little oasis of sonic calm with the help of recordings.
I do that all the time.
Yeah, me too.
I find listening to rain sounds incredibly soothing.
Oh, me too.
And the science behind why this works is still being explored. But one theory is that our brains don't fully distinguish between real and recorded nature sounds. They both seem to trigger similar neurological responses.
Interesting.
Particularly in areas of the brain associated with emotion and memory.
So whether it's the real deal or a high-quality recording nature sounds seem to have this incredible power to transport us, even if just mentally, to a more peaceful and restorative place.
Absolutely.
It makes me wonder if there are other subtle ways that we're incorporating nature sounds into our lives without even realizing it.
That's a great observation. And one of the more unexpected places these sounds popped up was in the TOEI study materials you provided.
Right. It's so interesting that they're using nature sounds as examples in their listening exercises.
Yeah.
It's like a reminder that these sounds are a universal language, something that transcends cultural boundaries.
It also speaks to the importance of auditory processing and language learning. And it makes me wonder, could listening to nature sounds while studying for the TOEI actually improve focus and performance?
Interesting.
It would certainly create a more calming and engaging study environment.
It's almost like giving your brain a mini vacation while you're studying.
Right.
We should encourage our listeners to try it out and see if they notice a difference.
Absolutely. It'd be fascinating to hear their experiences.
Yeah.
It just goes to show that we're constantly surrounded by these incredible sounds, even if we don't always consciously tune into them.
And that's really what this deep dive is all about, encouraging you to pay attention to the soundscape around you and discover the hidden power of nature's symphony.
Beautifully said. Now let's take a short break, and when we come back, we'll delve even deeper into the world of nature's sounds and explore how we can incorporate them into our daily lives for greater well-being.
Welcome back. I'm really enjoying this exploration of how nature sounds can impact us. It's making me think about all the subtle ways we encounter these sounds in our daily lives, even beyond just being out in nature.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, think about how often movies and TV shows use nature sounds to set the mood or enhance a scene.
Oh, yeah.
Like a gentle breeze, rustling leaves can create a sense of tranquility, while a sudden crack of thunder can signal impending danger.
It's true. Those sound effects really have a powerful impact on how we experience a story. Like, our emotional responses to certain sounds are hardwired.
Right.
Which makes me wonder, do you think there are specific types of nature sounds that are more effective than others for promoting well-being?
That's a really great question. Well, any nature sound can be beneficial.
Right.
Research suggests that sounds with gentle rhythmic patterns tend to be the most calming.
Okay.
Think of waves lapping on the shore or a steady rainfall. These sounds mimic the natural rhythms of our own bodies, like our heartbeat and breathing, helping to induce a state of relaxation.
It's like nature's built-in lullaby.
Exactly.
What about those more intense nature sounds like the roar of a waterfall or the howling wind? Do those have any place in our sonic well-being toolkit?
Absolutely. While those sounds might not be as immediately relaxing as, say, birdsong or a babbling brook, they can be incredibly invigorating. And even awe-inspiring. Think about the feeling of standing at the edge of a vast canyon.
Yeah.
Listening to the wind whip through the rocks. It can be a really powerful experience.
Totally.
That connects us to the grandeur of nature.
You're right. It's not just about finding peace and quiet. It's about finding the right soundscape to match our mood and our needs in that moment.
Exactly. And that's what's so fascinating about this field of research. We're just beginning to understand the nuances of how different nature sounds impact our well-being.
Right.
And how we can harness their power to improve our lives.
Speaking of harnessing their power, I'm curious about something we've talked a lot about, the calming and restorative effects of nature sounds. But do they have any cognitive benefits? Could they actually help us think better?
There's a growing body of research that suggests that nature sounds can indeed enhance cognitive function.
Really?
For example, studies have shown that listening to nature sounds can improve focus, boost creativity.
Wow.
And even enhance memory.
That's amazing. Do we know why that is? Is it simply because they help us relax, or is there something else going on?
There are likely multiple mechanisms at play.
Okay.
One theory is that nature sounds help reduce cognitive fatigue by providing a sort of mental break from the constant stimulation of our modern world.
Yeah.
Another theory is that the complexity and variability of nature sounds actually engage our brains
Okay.
in a way that helps strengthen cognitive function.
So it's not just about blocking out distractions. It's about giving our brains a workout in a way that feels natural and enjoyable.
Precisely. And this brings us back to those TOEI study materials you provided.
Okay.
Remember how they incorporated nature sounds into their listening exercises?
Right.
Perhaps there's a reason for that, beyond just making the exercises more engaging.
Yeah.
Maybe listening to nature sounds while studying could actually improve information retention and overall performance.
Now that's a fascinating idea. Maybe we should encourage our listeners to try it out, study with some birdsong in the background, see if it makes a difference.
I love that. It would be a fun experiment.
Mm-hmm.
It just goes to show that even in seemingly unrelated areas like language learning, the power of nature sounds can be surprisingly relevant.
It really highlights how deeply these sounds are woven into the fabric of our lives, even if we're not always consciously aware of it.
Yeah.
And that brings me to a question for you, our listener. What are your favorite nature sounds?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any go-to soundscapes for relaxation focus or just a boost of energy?
Yeah, we'd love to hear your thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Share your experiences with us on social media or drop us an email.
And as we continue this deep dive, let's all make a conscious effort to tune in to the soundscape around us.
Yeah.
You might be surprised by the subtle ways nature's symphony is already enriching your life.
Now let's take a moment to explore a really fascinating aspect of this topic. The potential of integrating nature sounds into the design of our spaces. Oh. Not just for personal enjoyment, but for enhancing well-being on a larger scale.
Yeah, that's a really fascinating idea, thinking about nature sounds not just in our headphones, but like in the actual spaces we live in.
Exactly. Imagine instead of the constant hum of traffic or, that sterile buzz of fluorescent lights,
right,
we were surrounded by the gentle sounds of birdsong or the soothing trickle of a stream.
It's like bringing the outdoors in, creating these little pockets of sonic nature.
Precisely. And it's not just about creating a more pleasant atmosphere.
Right.
There's actually a growing body of research that's exploring how incorporating nature sounds into the design of spaces can have a really tangible impact on well-being.
Okay.
Particularly in settings like hospitals, offices, and even schools.
Yeah, I was reading about this in one of the TOEI excerpts.
Oh, yeah.
It talked about how hospitals are starting to use nature sounds to create a more calming and healing environment for patients.
That's right. Studies have shown that incorporating nature sounds into healthcare settings can reduce patient anxiety, improve sleep quality, and even speed up recovery times. For example, playing recordings of gentle rainfall or ocean waves has been shown to lower blood pressure and heart rate.
Interesting.
In patients recovering from surgery.
It's amazing to think that something as simple as sound can have such a profound impact on our physical and emotional well-being.
It really speaks to that deep connection we have with the natural world, even if we're not always consciously aware of it.
Right.
And it's not just limited to healthcare settings. Imagine offices where the subtle sounds of birdsong or wind chimes help employees focus and reduce stress.
Yeah.
Leading to increased productivity and creativity.
Right.
Or schools where nature sounds create a more calming and conducive learning environment for students.
You're painting quite a vivid picture here. It makes me want to rethink my entire approach to home decor. Maybe I need a fountain in my living room, or at least a really good nature sounds playlist on repeat.
There you go. And that's something we can all do, regardless of our budget or living space. We can curate our own personal soundscapes using recordings apps, or even just opening a window to let in the sounds of our surroundings.
It's empowering to think that we have so much control over our sonic environment.
Right.
And that making small changes can make such a big difference in our well-being.
Absolutely. Paying attention to the soundscape around us is a simple yet profound act of self-care. It's about tuning in to the subtle rhythms of nature and allowing them to nourish our minds and bodies.
I think we've covered a lot of ground today, from the science behind nature's sound healing to the practical ways we can incorporate these sonic wonders into our lives, both personally and on a larger scale.
Yeah, I think so too. Hopefully we've sparked a renewed appreciation for the power of sound and inspired you to explore your own sonic journey.
Absolutely.
So go ahead, open your ears, tune in to the sounds of nature, and discover the peace and well-being that await.
Until next time, happy listening.